Well, hey, this is Alex, finally getting around to making a video. But as you can see right now, it is nearly midnight, finally getting around to doing this one. But back a while back, let's see if I can pull that up. I was asking if people would be interested in kind of getting some pointers on how to do art. I hope my computer's fan isn't super loud. It probably is. Anyway, here's my page. Just got done uploading that. I love that so much. I probably shouldn't love that as much. Anyway, I'm getting super distracted. So from this poll, I was kind of getting the idea that you guys would be interested in doing some tutorials or critiques, since I don't really have anything to critique except maybe my own stuff. That'd be neat. I was wanting to kind of acknowledge this poll and bring in the critiques and tutorials bit. Critiques on other critiques. Let's just take a look first, see what happens here. This was a while ago. It sounds like people who want to get better at their art. Good job, guys. But in the meantime, why not? Since I don't have anyone just yet, let's go ahead and do maybe some tutorial stuff. Hey. So tutorial wise, I kind of wanted to go over some of the basics of like all of these things, like shape, form, texture, some proportion, some ideas on lighting, the different color theory types, things like value, saturation. But I'm really interested more in these dudes right now. So let's just talk about these guys real quick. I wanted to talk about just kind of a tiny bit about composition. I want to talk about composition. Oh boy. The entire idea behind composition is to create more for your eye holes. Create a little bit more for your eye holes, you know? Give them something tasty, something delicious. Well, the whole idea is, how do you want the viewer's eyes to see things? Some people, they have like the basics. From what I know at work, I do a lot of framing for like people's art. If it needs a frame, I put it on there. Oh boy. And what we like to do is we like to take things from the picture and put it back into the things that are surrounding it, so it feels like a cohesive whole, just like the same in regular composition. So even with my framing stuff, what we were trying to do is create a unity between the picture that it's going to be in, the picture that it's going to surround, and the frame that's going to surround it. So we needed to create that sort of unity between the picture and the frame around it. So it's going to be like, we don't want them to work against each other. We want them to work with each other. And that makes it feel right. Kind of that part of composition. There's certain pictures that just don't look right because they have the wrong textures and stuff. Alright, so here's an example. Don't get me wrong, I like this picture. But there's something really weird about the line art compared to this very painterly style, almost realism in the background. So we have something that's really cartoon mixing it together with something that's realistic. And in some cases, it just doesn't work well together. I think that this one in particular almost works. It starts grabbing some of the lighting from the halo and from the sky, and it kind of reflects that, so it feels like it's in a place, it's solidified. But if it's not working together to create unity, then it kind of works against itself. But at the same time, I also wanted to mention that once you understand this feeling of unity, I think that storytelling, if you want to tell a story, breaking that unity can make something feel like it's distant. So if there's some sort of something that's disrupting the piece, maybe having something that disrupts that unity would be a good way of using composition to start telling a story about what that piece is without even using words. Another thing that a lot of It's pretty important. Balance is, it's all about making sure that the scales are even, so that it feels right to have like a piece together like this. We want the scales to be even, and when they're not, they can really make the piece feel very tilted. Like if I went ahead and just like put a big old blob right here, it's like, oh, suddenly it feels really heavy over here and this side's starting to fall over into this side, and then it becomes really distracting. You start not looking at everything else, you start looking at the big old blob. Oh boy. So that sense of balance really allows for things to feel right within a piece. Balance can literally mean putting two things on either side, or it can mean weighting a picture on the bottom, giving it a little bit more like solidarity, so that you know which side's the bottom, you know which side needs a little bit more structure like that. But it gives it a sense of structure, feeling like it's not going to tip over. Even asymmetry. That's balanced. Dang it. So that would actually be a kind of more towards asymmetry, but it feels balanced, even though it's not the exact same on either side. Maybe I'll just leave it there for a bit. This isn't the exact same as this, but it still works because of that. It's balanced because it still has this weight. It has this weight here. And with both of them working together, kind of make it feel like a cohesive whole. Another one that I really like, well, a couple of them I really like. There's rhythm along with that pattern, and both of those deal with more of a situation where you have a lighter area and then a darker area. But then you create a rhythm or a pattern by putting another white piece into the dark spot. So it's like creating a 1-2-1. So you're creating a pattern with kind of darker areas and lighter areas, which can also be like using contrast in your composition. Having that lighter area along with that darker area. That along with, what was the other one? I guess it would just be focus, really. Like I picked up these terms from the internet. It's like all over. You'll just find these everywhere. These are literally the basics. You'll find those pretty much everywhere. Focus being more in a composition, a point where your eye is going to focus. Movement, that's the now TM, move.tm. That's how you say movement now. Oh, movement allows for how your eye is going to look into this page or into this composition. How is your eye led across the composition, and where does your eye fall? Movement is where it leads your eye, whether it be implied leading, like let's say there's a bunch of buildings that kind of like create the line. You can kind of see that these bars are going way up. Look at those stocks. Oh my word. You can see the implied line that it's moving up. But I literally said it was moving up, so I can't. Bah. Implied things, meaning you can see a pattern of how things are increasing, so your eye automatically thinks, hey, there's a line here. So in composition, creating items to like move your eye around the page, if you use it right, it leads you to a point that you want them to see. Or again, back like with this unity and this breaking of unity, it can kind of show you, I want you to get stuck here. I don't want you to leave here. This is a black hole now. This is where I want you to be, and you're not going to leave it forever and ever. Welcome to your new home. Excuse me. I've noticed a lot of people's composition stuff ends up doing that a lot by like creating a very strong form, but not allowing like the main points to be seen. Like, I want you to look at that noggin, but all you see is the fat. So the main focus, which is something that I don't have right now, is a point within a composition that you want the people to look at, whether it be by multiple lines bringing it into the same area, or even if it's just one. It kind of looks like a little face, like this. That's great. Want the focus to be like right there. And if you use the movement of other items to lead you to that point and to get stuck in that point, that can be a focal point, the main attraction of the entire piece. Whereas movement is like where I want your eyes to move from or to. If you use it properly, you can make them look all across the page and never get stuck. What was the last parts? Proportion. Proportion being like how something is next to proportion. How someone can look really close here and look really far away there, just because of how things set up. Now, this is gonna be a video, so it's okay that I'm gonna erase everything. Okay? Yeah, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. For me later, this is gonna suck, but you know. Okay. So now that that's all out of the way, what is this dude? Pythagorean theorem boy, old math and stuff says that this is a good look. It's used a lot on like photography. It has a focal point. It leads the eye around in a circle and or stuff. You can literally go whatever way you want with it, or even do multiple sets with it. Yeah, just like that. You can create multiple like scenes. Wow, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why that mermaid picture works out so well. Alright, my dude, look at this. I didn't even realize until now why this works so well. Oh, I'm learning things as well. Isn't that really neat when you can learn things? I wish I learned things. It has a very similar pattern to like how that's going. There's a focal point right here at the face. It draws out and around and comes down. And then it kind of creates, again, a circle, kind of like this. Using this composition, and then the rule of thirds being, here's a line, there's a line, then there's a line, there's a line. And these guys are just fish. They're all right. It creates focal points where I want you to see, and then it also creates movement, kind of that leading line that allows you to come back. I thought it was just because of the figure eight. That's really funny. All of these seaweeds, these seaweed kelp things, they kind of lead your eye back towards this. You kind of can look at things, but you're ultimately led back up here, which leads you back down here, and you kind of get stuck in the cycle in the middle. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, I should do more of these. Huh. So, okay, what do we have going here? We have a big old triangle. This triangle has more or less no background, little spinnies, which I think I got rid of in the second one. Here's the one. I got rid of the little spinny things because I didn't like them. Is this balanced? I would say no. I feel like if this scarf went a little bit farther up here, it would create a better triangle, and it would have felt like it was balanced. As it is right now, it leans a little bit too far this way, and I feel like she's gonna fall over. Did I do that on purpose? No, I didn't. So that's the kind of stuff that, hey, I can do better at that. This is how I can do better. So using that idea of shape and a single character, you can create compositions just by using a single character like that. This one being in a triangle. You can also use other shapes like circles, and you can use squares. Wow. Whatever you can. Oh, I'm gonna bring this down. To kind of lead the eye in a direction, kind of creates a little bit more interest and a little bit more, you can tell more of a story without, like this uses contrast. This really dark against this really bright kind of shows a silhouette, but it also kind of creates like a differentiation in space, like this being more in the foreground, this being more in the background. Is it balanced? I would almost say no. I feel like there should be more dark because I have so much dark down here, or at least justify it a little bit more with maybe some different shadows. Like right now, I feel like this side is very heavy and this side is very light, so maybe it is all balanced and stuff, but it's not the usual like here's a heavy spot, here's a not heavy spot. Maybe it should be heavy over here to kind of offset this heaviness, but in the end, this just ends up using a lot of leading lines, like this kind of leads you this way, and these kind of lead you that way. All this leads you in this direction, over towards this sun. But everything feels like it's moving towards this way. Whereas this side is all dark, this side is mostly light. So in a way, it's balanced, which is kind of nice. This is fun. This is good stuff. I'm glad I did this one. What I want to see, I would love to see more of, and if you're down for it, I would love to critique your stuff too if you're okay with it. But I would love to see more composition in a sense that allows for greater storytelling. Storytelling being the idea of having your compositions tell me more than just, I am a person standing. I was going to grab an example from somebody else, but I really like this one because I wanted it to tell some sort of story. It's not just a character sitting doing nothing. I want them to be doing something more than just standing and or being straight up and down in a composition doing nothing. I want to see them doing something, even if that something is more like just anything but standing, really. I would love that. I would love that stuff. But in the end, if you take anything, I just want you to create something cool for your eye holes. The irony is that this has horrible composition. Aye.